Welcome to Ordinary People, Extraordinary Things. Mike, thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, thrilled to be here, Nancy. Thanks for the invite.
If people don't know who you are, can you give three words or phrases to describe yourself?
Oh gosh. That my nickname is Papa Mike.
Oh.
My kids uh, gave me a license plate to put that on the back of on the license plate of my truck because we have 8 children, uh, 10 grandchildren, and we've served 37,000 children across Colorado. Of children in crisis. So I'm just kind of known as Papa Mike. Uh, Everything about Beautiful Redemption is a focus on every child's beautiful and every story can experience redemption. And so that's what we live for, and that's what Papa Mike does. So the other word would be an encourager. I love to encourage people, come alongside them, see ways we can help, that kind of thing. And probably thirdly, I'm pretty sacrificial. I don't live for comfort, although some things are comfortable. But I think there's more of a call on us to die to ourselves and to give from ourselves, not giving God a tip, but making it a priority in our lives. And so we've tried to really live in our family with a motto of we sacrifice. So, yeah.
And before we got on air, you were saying that you had kids, biological, foster. Can you tell us?
Yeah, we've got 5 biological children. Then we were foster parents. Adopted 3 of those foster children who are sons and daughters, then grandkids, 10 grandkids. So yeah, when someone sees us and says, "Man, you look a little tired," it's like, okay, next point, because we are all the time. We're living to give our lives away in different ways. We all, as Christ followers, do that to some extent, and we've lived with a motto to really do that daily and yeah, give our lives away.
Do you feel that that's not what Christianity has taught us for a long time? I feel like for a long time it was all about safe and comfort, and that was kind of the big things that we were hearing. Is that what you
I'd
would say as
say,
well?
yeah, Nancy, I'd say absolutely. We're okay, and my faith is great as long as I'm comfortable and I'm not on an edge or doing something that could be risky or anything else. And I don't think that's the way Jesus lived. He hung out in some pretty uh, different places. He did some very different things. He walked in a culture and identified with it, but brought light to it. And I mean, that's what we're about. Not just being safe, not just being comfortable, not just checking all the boxes, but okay, how can I really help somebody today? And what are those methods where everyone and anyone can do something to to bring light to someone else's life? And that's again what beautiful redemption is all about.
Yeah, you've said that a few times. Could you tell us what it is?
Yeah, Beautiful Redemption. We're a little nonprofit here in Colorado Springs area. Um, we don't have an office because we want to make sure all the funds that we raise goes to serving children at risk. And so we work out of our homes, we work out of coffee houses, restaurants, parks, you name it. We're all over the place, and we use a technology platform to make connections. Okay, so that's what we're all about is how do we help those people who are closest to us that are really in need, and we may be able to do something about it. Not to an extent of becoming a foster parent or anything else, but what's one thing we could do? So here's how CarePortal works is uh,
And CarePortal is the technology you were talking about, right?
correct. Thank you,
Okay.
Nancy. Yes, CarePortal and Beautiful Redemption are two different things.
Okay.
Beautiful Redemption is the organization that brought CarePortal to the state of Colorado, and now it's active in 41 states. So if someone's listening to your show, they can go to careportal.org if they're in another state besides Colorado and find out where Care Portal's active. And it's amazing how it works. I mean, think about it, a caseworker with the Department of Human Services or a foster agency or a school fills out a request for a child. It goes into the Care Portal system. If somebody is signed up with Care Portal, um, then you receive that request if you're within 10 or 15 miles of that request, so close to home, right? In your own community. These requests are vetted by professionals who work with these families, who work with these children. So somebody can't go on and say, "Hey, I'd like a car, you know. Well, so would I, you know, kind of, yeah. Or I'd like this, or I'd like that. They can't do that. It has to be vetted and it has to go through a professional. Um, and they're the ones that then, if I wanted to respond and say, hey, I can provide that $50 gift card. I can provide the diapers, wipes, and formula. I can provide that bunk bed. It puts that person that says, yes, I'd like to help, in touch with the caseworker that wrote that request. All right. And that's the magic of this thing is everyone can do something, right? I mean, like, our theme is to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world.
Mhm.
And that's what Care Portal provides the opportunity for is here's a real need of a real family, a real child in crisis. A lot of these are on the preventative side to keep children out of foster care. Some of them are to provide for a child when they're in foster care. Some of them are later in life where they're looking to be on their own now and have never been in the foster system and don't have a support system. And they're looking to get into their very first, apartment, those kinds of things. So we help along the whole spectrum. The issue is it has to be a child that's in need and local to our community, wherever that request is going out. And it's amazing the churches, businesses, individuals that have just said, hey, I can help. I mean, we've seen it happen 37,000 times. And years ago, my wife and I got together when we first started this about 9 years ago. And Nancy, my prayer was, Lord, let us serve like 1,000 kids. And I thought that was pretty big and pretty ambitious and everything else. And my wife, we're on this mountain ridge and there's trees everywhere. And I remember her prayer was, Lord, let us serve as many children as there are trees that we can see right now, you know? And I'm like, that's a nice dream, but I mean, that is never going to happen, right? And here, 9 years later, she was absolutely right. She heard a whole lot clearer than I did. And yeah, we've served more kids than we've ever thought possible.
And that's just the 37 that you talked, 37,000.
Yeah,
That's just with Beautiful Redemption Care Portal in Colorado. That's not Care Portal across the nation.
right. Across the nation, in the 41 states, CarePortal, this tool technology platform, has helped mainly the church serve over 500,000 children. I mean,
Mm.
it's just everywhere from New York to Florida to California and pretty much every state in between. CarePortal's active somewhere in a state, and they're looking to serve children in crisis.
So I think a lot of us know that the foster care system is broken, or
Yes.
I don't know what word you want to use.
Broken is a very accurate word because we're dealing with broken people and broken situations. Um, the department is doing the best it can, but that the department needs help. I mean, that's one reason we got into this space, Nancy. I was a pastor on staff for 33 years. And when we became foster parents, we saw this huge gap between the faith community and, quite honestly, government and the Department of Human Services. And it was very clear we got the call to this is your space. This is what you're to step into. And our first response was no, you need someone younger. You need somebody that could do this better than we could ever do it and everything else. And, God through the faithful, available, teachable aspect of things at us, and we went, okay, we're supposed to step off a staff where we've had a regular salary and everything's been normal for the last 30 years, and we're supposed to step out and raise our own support and then raise funds to be able to help these children in crisis. And it was a step out of the boat. I mean, yeah, it was risky, and yet now, 9 years later, we realize, wow, look how God was in this. Look at what He's done. Look at the thousands of children that have been served. And we're just scratching the surface. We can do so much more.
Yeah, I will say I'm on the email list. You don't have to be afraid to be on the email list. It's not
Right.
that every time an email comes in, you're required to say yes to that. So,
No.
yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of clarify that for anyone
Thank
who was
you.
listening.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
The only thing we would ask if it's a faith community and if it's a person of faith, when a request comes, just ask God, would you meet this need somehow and in some way through someone in our county, in our area? I just want to lift it up to you, Lord, and you provide in a way that only you can.
What I love about your story is that, like I said, I think everybody has this idea of, okay, the foster system is broken, but you didn't just say, okay, it's broken, and then walk away. You said, okay, God is calling us into that, but then also giving a way for people who maybe God is not calling them to
Right.
foster, but to help with this system.
You're so right, Nancy, and it's a great first step. It's not the only step, and I know people are, called to different things, but it is a step to be the hands and feet of Jesus in our community with a need that's a real need. Um, it- and it may be providing a bike, it may be providing a gas card, it may be providing a card for Walmart. Yeah, we can all do something.
How many foster kids have you fostered? Do you know?
Yeah, our every story is not the same, right? So are you asking for our own family, Nancy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Ours was really different. We only fostered three children,
Oh, wow. And then you
and
adopted all three of them?
and we didn't plan on adopting any. That wasn't in our playbook. We thought we'd have this big binder full of kids we've helped for all these years and that kind of thing. And there were some legal issues, there were some family issues, yeah, everything from attempted murder to prison sentences and everything else. The opportunity came where the Department of Human Services asked us, would you guys be willing to adopt these children? One was a 2-day-old drug baby. Uh, One was 8 month old, one was 2.5. Now they're 19, 17, and 14. So hard. I'm not going to paint a pretty picture. Difficult, traumatic, um, behavioral issues, mental issues, rejection issues, identity issues. It has been extremely difficult and yet like the biggest blessing in our lives. Even when things aren't going well, like with one of them right now, it's not going well, and he's totally rejected us and rejected God, and it's still a great time to be able to try to navigate, try to be the light in the dark situation, and be all you can, right?
Mm.
So
How do you stay positive like that?
some days we don't, I mean, let's be honest. And yet God, the place of God being sovereign and in control and over it all has been our lifeline, right? Because we have had very difficult seasons and kind of threw our hands up of like, I don't know what else to do. I don't, and part of that answer is just be there, just hang with them, be there with them, walk with them through their issues and their struggles and their trauma. We haven't been perfect at it. I don't think any foster parent, adoptive parent is, but
Mm.
we've been faithful and have walked with them in life and continue to do that.
What would you say to someone who is feeling God tugging on their heart in some way, but they're kind of here saying or thinking what you said is, "Hey, I've got this job, I've got some security here.
Yeah.
Uh, this is scary."
Yeah, and I'd say it's take a first step, and that first step might be answering a CarePortal request, or that first step might be going and getting licensed so you can be a respite provider for a foster family so they can have a weekend off and you become the aunt and uncle in that situation. There's so many different things we can do. Um, Beyond just becoming a foster parent. There's so many good and helpful things. I mean, we've had people come by at times and bring a meal, and you think, well, that's not that big of a deal. Well, when you're going through some trauma issues with your kids and literally you don't have the mind or the effort or the energy to cook something and a meal shows up on your doorstep, I mean, it can change the course of the whole day. It's like, oh my gosh, we have this to, rely on tonight. You know, Somebody providing again a gas card. So you're driving to all these appointments for the kids and that kind of thing. For someone to give you a gas card that fills up your gas tank, it's like, wow, what an amazing blessing that is. Or someone that says, I can't do much, but I'd love to read a story to your children. So they come over once every 2 weeks and sit down with your kids and read them a story or help them with their homework or do those types of things. It's just everyone can do something, right? The guy that's the mechanic can change a single mom's oil and provide her peace of mind for the next 3 months, that the light's not going to go on. Somebody that's into handyman work can fix someone's fence or shimmy up that window or that door and make it better and or cover up those holes that the little one put in the wall. We can all do something.
I hear you saying things that require us to be in community or to be real about maybe where we are as far as, you might have to tell someone, hey, we're struggling right now.
Yeah.
We could use a meal, or we're just at our wits' end, and just being able to have community and also be real with people.
Yeah, and as human beings, I mean, isn't that what it's about? It's being real, it's being open, it's being honest. We still have days, even in our own family unit, that are fantastic, and we have other ones that are challenging. And it's like, how are we going to get through the next 30 days on this one, and with where we're at, and how do we navigate it? And sometimes you're just so tired. You just want to go somewhere and be alone and have a little space, and that's okay too. So, to be vulnerable and open and honest, um, I could come on and say, "Oh, these are the best things about, helping with children in crisis and da 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 da," and paint a real rosy picture. But sometimes you drop drop a car seat off at a door, and the person, bless their heart, man, they don't know how to respond. They're not ready to give you a hug. They feel bad. They feel isolated. They feel like no one cares. And here you're giving them something that's going to assist them and help them, and you're wanting to. And maybe that smile, maybe that kind touch on the shoulder, it is the balm of healing that they needed just for the next week to get through it. And we have the opportunity to be that and do that.
Yeah. Speaking of small things, what's something that you've done or something you've received in the last week that was a kindness?
Oh, that's a good one. I purposely go to a few little places to eat or have coffee here in the Palmer Lake area where I live, and I look for someone to bless. And so I will pay for someone's coffee, um, or I'll notice a couple or a situation with lunch, and I just kind of feel that spiritual tap on my shoulder. And so I ask the waitress, as she comes over, put their chicken wings and Cokes on my bill. I'll take care of theirs today. So I do it pretty much every week. Look for it's not a huge thing, right? But it is a huge thing because
Mhm.
it's something, and it brings light to someone's life. And most of the people that happens to say, "Wow, no one's ever done anything like that for me before. What's up with that?" Thank you so much. And we've built relationships and friendships, and people in the community know what we do, and that kind of thing. But that's one thing that I enjoy doing, and I look for those opportunities.
I heard you say a spiritual tap. If people are saying, I don't ever hear from God, I don't know what his voice sounds like, could you kind of
Mm,
explain that, as far as, is it just like a
yeah.
little nudge and you think, hey, what's it going to hurt if I pay for that coffee?
Yeah, I don't think it always has to involve words, right? I don't hear voices and everything else, and yet there's that inkling of that's the person you may want to help out today. Or here's a CarePortal request, and I read it and go, "Oh my gosh, that was something I dealt with in my life. I can't believe that someone else is dealing with that. Let me assist with that one." Um, it's just those little nudges and just being sensitive to, okay, life is more than just about me and my selfishness and my pride and my self-centeredness. It's about others. And yeah, I love God and who he is and what he's done, but there was another commandment that followed, and it's, so show it. And so just being open and sensitive to, you don't have to conquer the world. You don't have to do something that's going to end up on the front page. But you can do a little something. Maybe it's helping somebody put the groceries in their car because they're doing the kids. It's like just be aware, right? And look for those opportunities of how can I bring light to the dark world I live in? How can I bring light today in just a little way?
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
What are you grateful for?
Oh my gosh. So much to be grateful for. My wife, we're getting ready to celebrate our 44th wedding anniversary. Kids and grandkids, that's really easy. Um, I'm really grateful that you know, my little bit of faith God took and said, "All right, because you had a little bit of faith, now watch what's going to happen." And we had, no idea. And just grateful that he's been in this work and behind this work, provided for the work, and we've served so many thousands of kids in need. And that, just so grateful. And then, you know, everyday normal people just responding to one request, and yeah, the stories go over and over and over again of what's happened and what's gone on. So, and and grateful that this is what we get to do every day, and we don't have a storage unit, and we don't do all the work. It's the people that sign up with beautifulredemption.com. They're the ones that are doing it, and we're just cheerleading along the way because the technology platform just connects them with real needs that are close to them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's just, every day's, pretty much fun. It's like, oh, what's going to happen today? And who are we going to be able to help? And what story's going to come out of today? There's an expectancy, and because we're a people of faith, we're saying, God, do more. It's like the five loaves and the two fish, we're just the kid that brought the lunch.
But
Said
someone
this,
had to bring it, right?
right, right, and then, what good is this little lunch? Well, yeah, in the hands of the Lord, watch what he can do with it. And I love that expectation of not knowing. We had a church respond to a bunk bed request, and they bought one of those, hard to put together bunk beds, and the guy met with me afterwards, Nancy, and he said, don't ever do that to me again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I said, what would you recommend? He said, well, and he pulls out a napkin. He goes, this many two by twos, this many two by fours, you put them together with 18 bolts, you're done in 20 minutes, and it's a sturdy bunk bed. And I'm like, what do you do for a living? He goes, well, I'm a construction guy. I envision and see how things are put together. So long story short, he started building them bunk beds out of his garage. Now the church has a wood shop in the basement of the church. Another one in town built a separate building. They both build bunk beds, and we've done almost 2,000 bunk beds for kids in the community. All came from a failed request. You know, that's what that's the
Like
loaves
an
and
IKEA
fish.
flop or something, right? It's like,
Right, right.
no.
Yeah, and I was like, failure, we blew it, I made somebody unhappy. He doesn't want to help again. And yeah, we got a couple truckloads of 2x4s and 2x2s and dropped them in the guy's driveway. And now, thousands have beds because yeah, we just brought our lunch, right? Just brought the 5 loaves, 2 fish. Pew! Look what's happened.
What is your favorite Bible verse or story?
Uh, Definitely the loaves and fish, I mean, from Luke chapter 9. I just love the innocence of the boy sharing just what he had, you know. I I can imagine, I can't serve all these, there's thousands of people. And he's like, this is all I've got. And that's what we ask people to do with CarePortal is just bring what you got, to the game and watch how God uses what you've experienced, what you've gone through, your talents and abilities. Watch how he uses it to touch another life, because that's what God wants to see happen is these meaningful connections of us coming together. I guess the other one is where is it? Yeah, a little earlier in Luke, about the 4 friends that dropped their paralytic friend through the roof. And I'm thinking, one, what great friends, you know? Two, they took risk, right? Climbing up somehow up on that roof and dropping their buddy down. And then three, think about the risk involved. He's paralyzed, it says. So if they get this wrong and he rolls off the mat, um, there's no way for him to catch himself or land on his feet, or anything. He's crashing and burning, and that they figure out a system, whatever that looked like, to drop their buddy right in front of Jesus. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I, I, I like the adventure, the risk, and God showing up bigger than we ever thought possible in the midst of it. And that's what Beautiful Redemption lives for. So,
Oh, it's good. It's good. Well, I'm so glad we got to talk to you
me
today.
too, Nancy.
And I'm excited to see what God's going to do in everybody's hearts because through your story, I think that people are going to hear different things and different things are going to touch their hearts. But I just love the idea. And that's what something is super important to me is that uh, not believing a lie that the small thing doesn't matter or my little
Right.
loaf doesn't matter. And so I love that we got to touch on that today.
That's so cool. I love it. Thank you, Nancy, for the opportunity.
On Ordinary People, Extraordinary Things, your story is his glory.